Hello, I'm Stephen Philippi.
And I'm Corey Smith.
Welcome to the first episode of Jacked Up Garage. The show that we are watching is all about cars and how to keep your car's performance up to par. This show has been designed in order to help all car owners and drivers.
Now, throughout our show, we will provide you with some information that will help provide you some insight about how you could keep your car fully maintained. We will also show you step by step how to perform some of these tasks. Today, we're going to show you how to change an oil on a 2004 3.8-liter Chevy Impala.
That's right, and we will also be providing you with some expert knowledge as we will talk to a gentleman from Spring Street Automotive who will explain what exactly can happen if you fail to replace your oil regularly. We will also have our monthly car tip, and it will help you keep your car running smoothly. Today, we are talking about oil and how to perform an oil change on your car. First, you need to know what type of oil to buy from the store. There are multiple different types of oil, such as 5W20, 5W30, and 10W30. Now, there are many more types of oil, but we don't have time to discuss them all. It is important to know this because certain vehicles have a certain oil viscosity they need in order to run properly.
Next, you will need to pick out a brand of oil that you would like for your car to run on. Now again, there are many to choose from, and it basically comes down to your personal preferences. Just a list a few of them. You got GTX, Castrol, Quaker Steak, and Mobil 1. All of the oil products do pretty much the same thing, but there are some more benefits than the other.
The other thing that you would need to get before changing your oil is an oil filter. There are more than one oil filters that you can choose from, but they all really do the same thing. Another thing to remember is to get the designated size. Otherwise, oil will be leaking out of your vehicle, which will lead to having serious engine issues.
Now, the final thing that you will need is an oil pan so you can catch all of the used oil that are draining from your vehicle's engine and some of those tools. We will go into depth about what tools you will need later on.
Routine oil changes are something all car owners will need to get used to. All cars must have regular oil changes in order to function properly. Drivers must understand that this is something that just has to be done. There are two main ways in which a vehicle's oil can get changed. The first option is in order to take the car to a shop. Here, a mechanic will change the oil. However, at the shop, a fee will be charged to drivers. The fee that will include the price of the oil in addition to a fee for the time of labor. The second option that you may be able to save some money. In this option, the owner of the vehicle can change the oil in their own car. By doing this, the owner will only need to purchase oil and an oil filter. But here is the problem with this option. Not everyone knows how to do this.
Well, here at Jacked Up Garage, we know how to perform an oil change, but we were wondering if people around town knew how to do one as well. So we went around to see whether people usually change their own oil or do they take it somewhere else and get it done for them.
I actually have not ever changed my own oil. My dad used to on his old car, and he used to do it on his own, but it really depended on the situation. Sometimes we usually go to the people wherever we bought the car.
I have never done my own oil change. I always take it to Dirk's Auto Works because they do a great job, and I know they will always put synthetic oil in my Volkswagen Beetle.
I've never changed my own oil, but if I ever have to, I just ask my parents where to go, and they usually tell me a good place to go in town.
Well, I've had many years of driving, and so at one time as a poor student, yes, I changed my own oil. But these days I'm a posh QU professor, and of course I have somebody else do it. Top Gun was my favorite place around the corner, but they managed to close. So I'm now searching for a new place to call my oil changing home.
So I have changed my own oil before. I did it at home, but I no longer have the things that I need to do it myself. So I take it to whichever car shop or mechanic is closest.
I usually don't change my own oil. I usually go to Lube Pro in Quincy because that's the only time I've ever had to do it.
I do my own oil changes, and I take it to the shed that my dad and I own. I change it there.
Wow. Now, it is clear that a large amount of people do not know how to change their oil on their vehicle. Because of this, we're going to show you how to perform a perfect oil change. So, without further ado, here is one of our mechanics who will explain how to perform an oil change completely by yourself.
Hello. In the video following here, you will see that we are teaching you how to do an oil change. And the things that we will be using in this video to show you how to do an oil change is a creeper, 15mm wrench, 5 quarts of 5W30 Quaker State motor oil, a Fram oil filter, a floor jack, and an oil pan. Here you'll see our creeper. It allows you to move on the ground swiftly and you'll get less dirty in the process. Here we have our 5 quarts of 5W30 Quaker State motor oil, and you can choose, there are other motor oils, but this is the one we are working with today. And then here is our floor jack. If you go to a shop here, you will be more likely hoisted, but today we are using a 3-ton Craftsman floor jack. So that's basics right now, so let's get started. Today we are working on a 2004 Chevy Impala. It has the 3.8 liter engine in it. It's also referred to as the 3800 series. And so we put your jack under there, and you want to make sure you have it right on the frame, just like so. And just keep jacking it up, but don't go too high. But you want to be able to get under it with your creeper. Now, but before you do jack it up, make sure you have your parking brake set, otherwise your car may roll. And that wouldn't be good. So second here, you make sure you find your wrenches. Today we will be working with a 15mm wrench, like I said earlier. And you can also use a socket set here, but I prefer wrenches here because they're easier to clean after you're done because they're going to have oil all over them. So you get your wrench under there, make sure you have the right one if you don't know what it is, and you put your oil pan under there so you can get started, and you can start unscrewing the bolt of the oil pan here. And this may take a little bit, it could be a little rusted, and then once you get it loosened so much you can eventually hand unscrew it. Once you get it so far out, it will come out and the oil will start flowing. Now this process here will take a little bit. And make sure you get all the oil out. And now this is an easier process when your car is warmer. So when you've had your car running for a little bit, just be careful, it will be a little hot if you have ran your car. Now once it's all out, see it's minorly dripping, you can start putting your bolt back in. Now you can hand screw it at first, like I said, like you take it out. And then eventually once you get it so tight, you make sure you get your wrench and you tighten that sucker up. And then you get it nice and tugged, and this way you don't have a leak. And now we'll move on to the oil filter. Now the oil filter is easiest accessible underneath the car, but as you see here, to get bird's eye view, we went through the wheel well. Now I use a towel here because sometimes your hands are slippery because you have oil all over them, and the towel gets you a little more grip. Now as you unscrew it, you will have oil coming under, so make sure you do have your oil pan right underneath of it.
Well, I hope everyone's having a good time so far, and we have a lot left to do yet. I hope we didn't lose you guys. Now, we've thrown a lot of information your way, and there is more to come, like the rest of the oil change and the tip of the month.
We're going to take a short break so you can go refill your engine while we refill ours.
That's right.
We'll be right back.
It isn't a building. It isn't an arena or field. It isn't a classroom. It's a friendship. It's the bonds you form. It's an opportunity. It's the experience. It's a key thing. Schedule your visit today.
QUTV is more than a news outlet.
1 in 5 undergrads work at least 35 hours a week, year-round.
Students involved with QUTV learn life lessons, create lasting memories, and gain the experience needed to succeed in future careers.
Students need to be involved with QUTV as a viewer or as a participant because we need to know what's going on around our campus.
Knowledge is powerful, and QUTV News serves to inform not only the students, but the Quincy University community as a reliable and powerful news network.
Welcome back to Jacked Up Garage. So far we've talked about what you need before you change your oil on your vehicle, and what we have begun to do is demonstrate how one starts the process to change their oil. And you've already seen how to jack up a car and how to drain the oil out of the vehicle, right?
That's exactly right. We left off at draining the oil into the oil pan, but before we finish the oil change, as we stated earlier in the show, changing the oil in a vehicle is important to keep the vehicle running properly. All vehicle owners and drivers need to make sure the oil is changed from their vehicle on a regular basis. We talked to a professional in the business who works on Spring Street Automotive about the importance of oil changes. The next clip will explain why people need to change their oil on a regular basis and how often their oil should be changed.
Every car is different, or a lot of cars are different. Your older cars always used to be 3,000 miles. Your newer cars with newer oil are going to 5,000 miles. Some of even newer cars that are running full synthetic oils are running anywhere from 6,000 to 8,000 miles. So everything's changing in the oil world, so you just have to pay attention to what your car needs. If you don't change your oil, sludge builds up inside your engine. And when sludge builds up, the passageways get plugged up, and then you're not going to get oil to the spots you need oil, and your engine's going to blow up. Mostly when we do oil changes around here, we don't just dump your oil out and screw a filter on, fill it up. We look at everything. We look at oil leaks, we look at shocks, we look at brakes when we can. We look from head to toe, everything that's under your car, exhaust. You know, some people come in here with fuel leaks that they don't even know about, so we look at fuel. Up top, we look at belts and all your filters. We try to get people to come in here on a regular basis so we can keep maintenance records on your vehicle, so we know when the last time your oil was changed, the last time you had an air filter, last time you had your transmission serviced. All that stuff. We like to keep track of that for you because I know it's hard for people to keep track of. So that's our job. So it's easy when you keep your car at one shop for all your car needs. We do have a buy 4, you get your 5th oil change free. It does not work on synthetic oils. It works on your regular conventional oils. The synthetic oils are too expensive to do that with. So we have that all the time. Just ask for a punch card when you come in if I forget to give one to you.
Wow, that's a great deal he's given out. Now, we've already shown you the equipment that you need to complete an oil change properly, in addition to how to drain your oil from your vehicle. But that's only one half of the complete process of changing a vehicle's oil. So in order to complete the process, you must put fresh oil into your vehicle. Here is the next step in the oil changing process.
Welcome back, and this is the second part of doing your own oil change. Here we're going to talk about putting on the new oil filter and pouring in the new oil. Here we have a brand new Fram oil filter. And the key thing here to remember is to make sure you have the right oil filter. Otherwise it will not fit and it will start leaking oil everywhere. Here in the next part here, we're putting some oil on the gasket. And the reason why we do this, it makes a tight seal where the oil filter goes, and it prevents from the gasket from frying up. Make sure you have it on tight, but not too tight. If you have it on too tight, it'll be really hard to take off on your next oil change. And since this was the last thing that we needed to put on the vehicle, I like to find my tools, pick them up, clean them if they're dirty, and then put them away. This way you don't have anyone tripping over them and falling and getting hurt. After I get my tools all the way, I like to go to my jack and I like to set my car down on all four. This way I know it won't fall on me or, fall and crush my foot or roll off the jack in any way. After that, I take out the oil cap and I like to look into the motor, make sure there's no debris in there, make sure nothing's going to mess up my motor. I also like to take the dipstick out and check it just to see. And then now it's time to start pouring the oil. But unfortunately in this case, we didn't have a funnel for this show. You should always have a funnel. But in this case, I get to show you how to make a funnel out of a ordinary red Solo cup. It's what I had in the trunk, and it also just works. So I put the hole next to the oil hole, and I grab my jug and I start pouring. Now it was a little windy, so right here it kind of went away, or it kind of got away, and kind of went all over the panel here. And so what I went and did, and I made sure I wiped it off good, just because I don't want my vehicle to smell after you pour oil on it. After it gets hot, it's gonna burn. So eventually here I start going again. And like I said earlier, there's all kinds of different oils you can put in your vehicle. There's Valvoline, AMSOIL, like I use Quaker State, and then you got to make sure you have the right viscosity too. There's like 5W20, there's 10W30, and there's fully synthetic motor oils too. So you always want to make sure you have the right oil for your vehicle, and it should say on your oil cap. And what I'm doing here is I poured a little bit of oil in there. Some vehicles take more quarts of oil than others, and I just like to make sure that I'm not overfilling it or underfilling it. So what I'm doing here is I put the dipstick in and I checked it, pulled it out, wiped it off on a rag. And then my job is complete. I have enough oil in there. I put the cap back on, and I'm good to go.
Well, Randy's just doing a great job of explaining this, don't you think?
Yeah.
You see that makeshift funnel? That was fantastic. Now that the new oil is in the vehicle, we are just about done with the oil change. However, there are still a few things left to do in order for it to be a complete oil change. Stay tuned after the break, and we will show you how to wrap it up.
Plus, we have our car tip of the month that will be presented after this short break.
That's right.
We'll be right back.
Yes. Growing up, I had one deaf friend, and that was the only deaf person I knew before coming to school here at QU. And now I regularly get to hang out and socialize with the deaf community, which has been awesome. Sign language isn't exactly like learning another spoken language because you use your body, facial expressions, your hands are your instruments. So it is definitely learning a new language. It has its own grammar and syntax and everything. It's not exactly like English like a lot of people think it is.
Join me, Coach Marty Bell, head basketball coach of the Quincy University Hawks, live from Chicks on the River every Monday night at 6:30 p.m. or on ESPN 1440 for the Coach Marty Bell Show. Hear from our coaches and players as Ben and I recap the previous games and preview our upcoming opponents. Grab your friends and family and come out to Chicks on the River for a great meal and meet the Hawks. QU men's basketball, Chicks on the River, and ESPN 1440, a winning combination. And as always, it truly is.
All right, welcome back to Jacked Up Garage. So far in the show, we've already provided you with some information on what is needed for an oil change, in addition to showing you most of the process for changing the oil in your vehicle.
That's exactly right. You know, before the break, we left off just after putting the new oil into the car. This means that the oil change is almost complete. However, there is still a few things left to do. Now, here's the final steps when changing your vehicle's oil.
All right, here are the last things we have to do in order to finish up your oil change. We have to start our car here, and we're going to check our oil. So here, starting the car. Then I go outside here, and then I pull out the dipstick here in the next clip here. And you really want to check to make sure that the oil levels are up correctly to the right amounts. And you can check that by some little thing. There's 3 little holes or little lines on your dipstick. Here in my case, I have some holes on mine. And make sure you read to the line that says full. And you want to make sure you're all good before you do anything else. And after you check it, you're good to go. You can close your hood and start, doing whatever else you need. But before I do that, I take the old oil that I got out of the car, I put it back in the jug. The reason why I do this because a lot of parts places like AutoZone and Advanced Auto or O'Reilly's will take your old oil and they will recycle it for you, so you don't have to, or this way you don't have to throw it away and it won't harm the environment. They will recycle it for you and do whatever you need. So this takes a little bit since I don't have a proper funnel like we discussed earlier, and so but after this I take the old oil filter, wipe it down and put it back in the box. And that way this keeps wherever you transport it. If you have a bag, which would be great to put it in, and make sure to wipe up any spills, obviously, like I just did. And this way I can transport the oil filter. And that's basically how to do an oil change. Bye.
Here on Jacked Up Garage, we have a special segment that is designed to help anyone who owns or operates a vehicle to keep their vehicle running longer.
Yeah.
This segment is our Tip of the Month segment.
On every episode during this time, we will be providing you with some simple tips and tricks that will help you to maintain your vehicle and increase the overall life expectancy.
Yes, sir, that's right.
Now, on this episode's Tip of the Month, we are going to explain what other fluids are needed to make your vehicle work properly. We will also show where the fluids go into your vehicle. And here is our mechanic to show you just how it is done.
All right, moving on, here is the tip of the day. And the tip of the day is all about checking your fluids under the hood. And first off, we're going to check the washer fluid. And it's very easy, more than likely, on vehicles. On this car, it's a little harder. But you can always tell because it'll overfill on washer fluid. It doesn't really matter. Next here, we're talking about the transmission. And you take out the dipstick, and you can look at your coloring on it. And if it's bright red, which is what it should be, that is perfect. If it's any other color, you do not have the right fluid, or you should really consider getting your transmission fluid replaced. And Valvoline here at Max Life is a really good brand, and this is what should go in there. Next here is the brake fluid. And if you remove the cap and you make sure you have enough fluid in there, if you don't have enough brake fluid, it could cause your car to not stop properly or take a long time to stop. Next here is the engine coolant, and this car runs on Dexcool, which is very different from other brands of coolant. Like I said, there's other brands, but other kinds I should say, and this is red. Some of the other colors are green, so just make sure you have the right kind. And that is the tip of the day. So remember to check your fluid.
All right, we have one more tip just for you college students. If you are a college student and you need some parts for your vehicle, or you need to have some work done on your vehicle, you can take your vehicle over to Spring Street Automotive. Here, you will receive a percentage off of everything you will need for your vehicle.
Throughout this episode, we have provided you with a look at motor oil. We provided some facts out of why changing the oil in your car on a regular basis is so important.
Yeah.
And we also demonstrated how you can change your vehicle oil on your own. We hope that you were able to take this information and use it to maintain your vehicle.
Well, that is all the time that we have on this episode of Jacked Up Garage. Be sure to come back and join us next time for some more vehicle maintenance, how to guide, and our future tip of the month. For Jacked Up Garage, I'm Corey Smith.
And I'm Stephen Philippi. We will see you on the next episode.